Hello and welcome to the Verge Gaming podcast, your weekly gaming fix. I'm System Override, your host.
And I'm Hzrd.
And Hzrd is my co-host. And today we're going to be doing a variety of different discussions based on the past week's news within the gaming industry and some other various discussions that we've decided to do. So let's introduce our guest. First up, we have WoWDar.
Hey guys, Dar here.
And our second guest for this podcast is Tarsius.
Hey guys, what's up?
Okay, so, would you guys like to mention anything more before we carry on? Such as things like what you do and that kind of jazz, really?
Well, this is, I guess this would be my second trip on the podcast.
Yeah, because you were in the pilot episode last week.
Yep. And, well, I'm a director over at TGN RPG, as well as I got my own channel, YouTube, WoWDar 1. And that's pretty much it right about now.
And how about you, Tarsius?
Yeah, I'm an RPG director and other hubs director as well. Also, I'm a TGN admin for both the website and the forum. Also, I have a channel called Nomology in which I play as a gnome character.
Okay, so as you guys can probably guess, we've got a lot of TGN directors featured on this show at the moment. But sorry, what were you going to say, Hzrd?
No, I was just going to say that Nomology was referring to World of Warcraft, I assume, saying you were playing a gnome.
Yes.
Sweet. For any WoW people that want to go check out Gnome's account.
Yeah, and WoWDar plays World of Warcraft as well, isn't it?
Yeah, Warcraft, Star Wars, Star Trek.
So the general
Starcraft.
MMOs, I'm guessing.
I think I pretty much hit it all.
Okay. So, yeah, do you want to get headed on with the first discussion then, guys? And that is your thoughts on live streaming. So, what I'm sort of trying to get with this is, what do you guys sort of think about live streaming games? And would you recommend people wanting to get into doing gaming commentaries and that kind of thing to do so?
Well, I was thinking about this the other day when we were bringing up the discussions. I mean, with what Tally's doing, if I had to really pick a way to engage my audience, it'd be with live streaming. If I had to choose between making 10 videos a day for YouTube or live streaming for 16 hours a day, I'd much prefer to live stream. Even if I only had 500 to 1K viewers on average, I'd still live stream much more than I'd make YouTube videos, just because it's a lot more engaging. Because it's basically just, I mean, it's a lot simpler. All you have to do is basically just do what you do any other day. Play games and stream, and people talk to you on the stream, and you interact with them. And that's the best way, because it's more entertaining for the audience, because they don't have to like leave a comment and wait for you to reply. They can just say whatever they feel like saying, tell you to play whatever they feel like telling you to play, and you can play it if you want to.
Yeah, that's one of the things I like about live streaming is the fact that you don't really have to stick to a schedule of what games you're going to play, but you do really need to have a schedule. So you need to say, this is the times I'm going to be live streaming, and you guys can choose the games I play, something like that. And then that's a good thing, because you're interacting with your community live, which means I think you sort of would build a better sort of bond with your members of your community.
And really, that's what it's about. I mean, for me, I would hope that it would be the same for a lot of other directors on YouTube as well. But for me, a lot of what I do is to try and get a response from my audience. Like in my videos, I put on accents and I throw voices and things like that to try and entertain people. Not because I want to try and become popular or anything, just because I want people to enjoy it and laugh and leave a comment. And if I could do that while streaming and see people reacting on the fly as I'm performing, that would be like ultimate satisfaction in terms of being an entertainer.
Yeah. So, WoWDar, what's your opinions?
Yeah, WoWDar, I was just about to say, have you done much live streaming? Are there any games that you live stream? Or?
Well, I was going to say, yeah, Override kind of took everything I was going to say. Yeah, I mean, that is, you know, you hit it right on the head. That is the big thing, is the interaction, you know, with the fan base or the people watching your videos and so forth. That's the big thing, especially when, you know, they have you live one-on-one. Well, maybe not one-on-one, but, you know, they can ask you questions and you can respond on, you know, at that time. You're not making like a question and answer video later on down the road. And it, you know, really lets you connect with your audience. As far as the live streaming, personally, I have done a little bit. I haven't really done too well with it because I'm still learning it. I'm playing with the programs. I'm not a big computer tech, but I'm still learning it, still getting back into it. I plan on starting back up again here this week. Just with this move and everything I just went through, it's hard getting everything back together. But I plan on getting back into it and just kind of see what happens, and hopefully we can get some viewers on over there and get some conversations going and see what happens.
Yeah, definitely. See, that is the thing, though. That is the case. It's difficult to get into streaming because without that initial audience, it's very difficult for people to even find you, like to even know that you exist, let alone be entertained and then hooked and want to follow and watch all of your streams. That's why I guess people turn to YouTube. I guess the sensible thing would be to make YouTube videos. Once you get an audience of people that like your videos, then you start, making vlogs and saying like, hey guys, I'm going to start live streaming. I want to try and find out what would be the best time for the majority of my audience to watch what I'm doing. Because at least with YouTube videos, it's always there. You don't whereas if you stream for 2 hours a day, you have to rely on people being online at the time that you're streaming to catch you streaming and then jump on and see your video.
Yeah, that's the only issue with it for me, really, is, actually I've got two. My first issue is it's quite difficult to keep a sustained amount of views. So where with YouTube, you sort of, generally if you've got this amount of subscribers, you're generally going to get this amount of views a day, providing you upload daily. Where with live streaming, it's quite difficult because obviously people have work, people actually have their own lives to contend to, so it's going to be difficult for them to get on while you're streaming, whereas with YouTube, it's always there, as you were saying.
Exactly.
And then my other sort of thing that I don't like about live streaming is simply to do with my internet connection, because it's that bad that I find it so difficult to live stream, because generally if I'm going to live stream, I'd want to play an online game, because that way I can interact with the people who are actually watching the stream.
Yeah.
So I can actually play the games along with them. And that throws a load of problems for me, because my internet's not good enough for a start, so I can't play the live game and stream at the same time.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, actually, because I've streamed quite a few times, and I know that your internet's not very different to what mine is. I think I'm running with about 2 megabit down and half a megabit up, so I got about 500 kilobit up. And on my stream, Pizza Man, the channel manager for TGN FPS, was watching my stream the other day with some of his FPS directors, and he was actually saying like, wow, how the hell is your audio quality so good? How is the video quality so good? And I'm not even streaming at 720p. I'm streaming at a much lower 16:9 ratio, and my streams go through really, really well. It's not because of my latency or my internet or anything like that. I think if you get your settings right on XSplit, and I really just kind of fluked it, if you get your settings right on XSplit, your CPU, if you've got a good enough CPU, will do all the work and compress it. I think you can make it so that it relies more on the hardware, less on the actual internet connection itself. I'm not really sure how it works, but my stream seems to go through fine. The only game that I have problems with is League of Legends. Whenever I stream, there's between when I'm telling my character to move and when it's actually happening, there's about a second delay, and you can't play games like that. So what I'm going to try and do, while we're on the topic, is start streaming Champions Bloodlines. It's a game that I've been getting into. It's a free-to-play game similar to League of Legends, but the playstyle is more like World of Warcraft Arena, so there's like 3v3, 2v2, and 5v5. So I'm going to try and start streaming that, and what I want to do is try and get an audience, and once I've got like even just 10 or 20 people, just be like, hey guys, download this game. I'm going to keep playing while you're downloading. When it's downloaded, hit me up, add me to friends, and 2 people can jump in. I'll play a match with them. They jump off, next 2 people jump in, and I'll just pick people from the audience. That's what I want to try and do, because that's how I would like to build my audience, just straight off the bat. Like, hey guys, come and play some games with me and be on the stream. But the problem is people don't want to watch your stream if there's no one else watching, and they don't want to participate in your stream if there's no one else watching either. So again, it comes down to that problem of having the initial audience of 50 to 100 people. That's the challenge. If you can find a way to get that audience, then your live stream will just grow.
I would agree with Hzrd right there. Because when I'm trying to do my Minecraft live stream, like long before things became busier in my life, I usually play with my viewers. Like I give them the the IP and the port for my Minecraft server, and we're actually playing it. And then instead of them like actually typing, we're interacting inside Minecraft and so on while they're watching it or something like that. And every time I do that, I get like 20 viewers or something that wants to join the server, but the server that I'm playing only can support like up to 12 people. So
Okay.
yeah.
No, I
So do
personally
you-
think that live streaming games is really for not just for you, but for the general viewer, because it's a way for people who have been thinking about a game, not sure whether they want to get it or not. They could go watch a live stream and ask the person who's playing that game at that moment in time what their thoughts are on it, whether they would recommend you to buy it, and you can get that in like that feedback instantly. Where with YouTube videos, you can't really do that. It will take a while for you to get that feedback.
Yeah, that's true.
And half the time, the sort of people that you'd ask on YouTube don't really have the time because they get that many comments on a day. So on a day-to-day basis, they get that many comments that they probably will not see your comment. Where with live streaming, you generally do see it.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
but it's hard to keep up with who's talking in the live stream once you get big. Like Towley, the other day, I went to his live stream, and the only reason he saw my message is that I whispered him while he's playing World of Warcraft in game. So I was like, "Hey Towley, this is Tarsius from TGN," and I've been talking to him during the live stream, and he cannot see it. It's like I'm like, no.
It's because his chat's just getting absolutely spammed. That's the problem, I guess, because I want to try and interact with everyone in my stream, but at the same time, I've had 30 people on my stream when I was partnered with Dead Dolly when we were streaming together, and it's even with just that amount of people, it's hard. So I can imagine with 2,100 people, it's almost impossible. And you just got to rely on your moderators to respond and help you keep the audience entertained by answering the questions that they might have, because if they're moderators, they probably know the answers anyway.
Yeah.
So I guess to sort of wrap up this discussion on our thoughts on live streaming, if everybody's cool with that, I think I'd like to wrap it up with a question. If the audience would like to see us stream, a Verge stream sort of as a counterpart to a podcast, was something I was just thinking while we're talking about this. Maybe we could have a 3 or 4 person live stream, get people that are coming to the page on there. We can talk about some of the topics. People can ask questions about maybe some of the news articles, information that we didn't provide them with, or try and elaborate more on something that they weren't quite sure about. And maybe we can just play a game together, like the 4 of us could be playing some Diablo in the future, or whatever anyone else wants to watch us play, really.
Yeah, that'd be quite cool. And I should add that there is a link to our twitch.tv page down in the description. It's a goo.gl link, so a Google link. So if you can click that and go over there, follow us over on our Twitch TV stream. We haven't actually streamed yet, but as Hzrd has said, it's definitely something we plan on doing. And in the future, we want to be streaming these podcasts live.
Hopefully we can start getting some live feeds from competitive gameplay, so people can come and watch whatever their favorite game is, StarCraft, League of Legends, HON, Warcraft, whatever they want to watch, and we'll be streaming and covering that. So that's another thing actually as well, is once that starts happening, once we start live streaming professional, or not professional, but competitive matches, it would be very advantageous for us to try and recruit some people. If any of you out there consider yourselves to be avid lore fans, I guess, if you think you know absolutely everything there is to know about the game, we could give you a bit of a quiz, trial you out, and see if you want to do shoutcasting for competitive gaming for us, for The Verge.
That'd be quite good.
Yeah.
That's definitely
So that being said-
areas we want to move on to.
Of course, yeah. So that being said, wrapping up that one, the next topic we wanted to talk about was gaming beverages. What do you drink? Is it bubbly? Is it hot? Is it cold? We want to know. So personally, I'm a massive Coke Zero drinker, and that's mostly just because real Coke is just ridiculously bad for you. When I was in high school playing a lot of games, I was often up till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning on a school night, waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning for school. So I was just plowing through ridiculous amounts of what I call heavy Coke. But yeah, and then, as I finished high school, my metabolism slowed down as I became a little bit older, and so I had to make the switch because I was putting on weight something fierce. But now I drink a ridiculous amount of Coke Zero. To give you a figure, I'd probably say between 2 and 4 liters a day. So
That's a lot.
That's me in a nutshell.
Yeah.
I like my drinks.
It's a lot, man.
It's pretty much just syrup and caffeine. What
Well-
do you drink, System?
For me, when I'm gaming, it sort of depends on my mood. If it's late at night, I'll generally have coffees because that'll keep me awake, or energy drinks. And by coffees, I mean like the massive Starbucks mugs, their largest mugs, filled with like 5 teaspoons of coffee and then 5 teaspoons of sugar, and just top that up, down it, get another one made. That's generally what I keep fueled on. On top of that, I also have a lot of water, a lot of Coke, sometimes the odd beer. It depends, really. like I said, it depends on my mood with regards drinks. With regards food, anything. Again, I like most of my food, so pizza. I like pizza and that kind of thing while I'm gaming, but it gets annoying sometimes. Like if you're doing console gaming, the grease will get really annoying with regards to playing with the
does, and
control.
it becomes, if you're like me and you hate losing at games, that just ruins it for you because you lose all of your accuracy because I used to play a lot of Halo Reach and a lot of competitive Halo. It just ruins the game experience because you're trying to get a really quick headshot off or something, and your thumb's just sliding all over the thumbstick.
Now, there is actually this food that got released. I can't remember what it's called now. I was talking to someone about it about a month ago, and it's some like gamers food, and it's like you can get pizza in a bag, like a packet of crisps, or a packet of chips if you're American, and it's literally like mini pizzas, but it's got no grease at all on, and it's like ice cream, which is freeze dried, but it tastes exactly like ice cream. Ice cream, I should say. But it's like really perfect food for gamers because it's not greasy, it won't mess your gaming skills up, but you can still have that snack and eat while you're playing, whether it's socially or hardcore.
Do you guys
That's
eat
kind of
Hot
funny.
Pockets?
Hot Pockets? Oh, that's actually kind of funny. We were talking about this just the other day.
Yeah.
Yes, no Hot Pockets in Australia. We have Pizza Pockets, but they're a shoddy imitation.
None in the UK, and I don't even think we have any sort of imitations or anything like that. It's
Well,
not
it's
good. We have Pop-Tarts. Pop-Tarts are good, but they're not Hot Pockets, so...
Hot Pockets are
Funnily
good, man.
enough, if you want to get Pop-Tarts in Australia, you actually have to go to a specialist candy store that imports candy from the States because Pop-Tarts
Really?
aren't sold anywhere normally. Yeah, and it
Oh.
costs quite a bit. It's $15 for a box. So one of those little boxes that has like 5 packets of 2 in it costs
That's
us
steep.
$15.
In the UK, you can get Pop-Tarts from any supermarket, really, and it's quite expensive over here, but not as expensive at $15. For a standard box of Pop-Tarts, it's about your average cost for cereal.
Oh wow!
So
Really?
usually about £3, so it's not too bad, which is probably $5, I don't know.
Yep.
You guys supposed to have like some kind of a Costco thingy there.
Costco, I love Costco. That's a good place for gaming beverages. If you get a Costco membership, it's so cheap and you can just buy things on a bulk. I've done that many a time with drinks and stuff, so...
What about you, Dar? You like to sit back with a coffee, tea, have a beer, crack out the scotch? What do you do when you're gaming?
Oh, who, me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, who's that to? No, usually I just drink coffee if I need to stay up. Not that big tall stuff that System was talking about. No, I got Maxwell House. brew it yourself, pour it yourself, put your cream and sugar in there. Iced tea, some Coke here and there. I kind of try to stay away from the alcoholic beverages while I play because I'm like you, Hzrd. I don't like to lose.
Yeah,
Matter of
I don't
fact-
like having my gaming ability inhibited by alcohol.
When I was younger, I went through a whole lot of consoles because of that. So yeah. Now that I'm on the computer, I try not to. If I drink, I'll watch videos or play music or something.
Yeah. When I refer to alcohol, I don't mean like drinking it to get drunk or anything. I just mean like having the odd beer or the odd lager or something.
Although that does raise a question of how many people out there, I guess in the audience or between the 4 of us here, actually, participating in getting drunk just for the sake of having a laugh, playing. I know that I used to have a few drinks on a Friday night because I used to be a bit of a Scotch fan, and I'd get on World of Warcraft and play my 3v3 arenas for my weekly conquest points. And I'd get relatively trash, and by the end of it, we weren't doing so well, but I was still enjoying myself because it was more about trolling the other team than actually trying to win the fight.
Yeah. I don't really tend to drink to get drunk or to play games socially. I just, to be honest, I rarely have alcohol. I have it very odd occasions. Simply because I don't like getting drunk because I hate hangovers.
Oh yeah, no, that's
They're like the worst thing ever, but...
for sure.
I
What about you,
only,
Tarsius?
I only drink alcohol, like particularly sake, if there's some occasion or if I want to sleep and I cannot sleep at all, I'll just take one glass of sake and drink it. And for the gaming, I usually drink water and tea, like green tea. And then
Mhm.
if I'm like typing a code and I need to focus all my attention on it, I drink some sort of an energy drink, whatever I am available with. And for the food, I make ramen noodles, like homemade. It's pretty cool, and some calamari and stuff like that. I cook all my
Oh,
food.
nice. That sounds pretty good. You sound like you've got a bit of a grip on what you like. I guess your food palate, your taste palate.
Yep. But it's
Yeah,
kind
not
of
me, I'm-
expensive.
I'm a classic game. Just some soft drink and a bag of chips, and I'm sweet to go.
Yeah, soft drinks are good. That's the sort of way. And water. Water's good.
Yep.
Water's nice and refreshing after you've had, like, say, a lot of fizzy drinks, and then yeah, I don't know. It's just water's quite good. It's nice and refreshing every now and then while you're gaming, especially if you're doing VoIP. If you're doing voice over IP, then you definitely need to have water.
Yeah,
Or get some
if
hot
you're
pockets.
yeah, if you're on yeah, if you're on like doing arenas and stuff, like any real PvP fan would, you're on there for 2 or 3 hours at a time, long extended gaming sessions. You're always on Vent or on Skype with your guildies, and it does get pretty tiring. After a big weekend of gaming, you'll often find that your throat will be a bit sore. So water has its purposes, but I tend to drink way more Coke than anything else.
Have you guys saw the South Park video, like when they do the World of Warcraft thingy? Like
Yeah.
Arthur
Yeah,
was
I
like
have, yeah.
sitting on the computer and it's like eating and then taking crap or something like that.
He's like, "Hey, mom, bring down the toilet." Yeah, I know the episode you're talking about, and it's got the internet warrior on the other end, just like slinked down in his chair.
Yeah,
As if
the really fat guy.
becoming one with the chair. Yeah.
That was hilarious. And then they create a sword, or they find this sword, don't they?
Yeah, that's
Sword
right. Yeah,
of
the
House of
Blizzard.
Truth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The USB sword.
Yeah.
it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
I'm actually surprised Blizzard allowed them to do something like that. Because they
Blizzard actually
completely
put
ripped the
sword in
game.
Yeah, well, Blizzard actually put the sword in the game.
Really?
Yeah, they actually added the sword into the game. Like, obviously, it wasn't like this brutal epic sword like they made it look like in South Park, but they did put it in the game.
That's pretty cool. But then again, Blizzard do have that sort of attitude towards
They're pretty casual with that
comedy
sort of thing,
and stuff. Because
I mean, look at
when
their
you're
April
playing a
Fool's
game,
jokes.
they have loads of that in, don't they? There's just like loads of references to TV and movies and stuff, and it's pretty good.
Yeah, they're really big on their Easter eggs.
Yeah,
Well, it's free advertisement, so they allowed South Park to use it anyway.
yeah, I guess as well. Okay, so I want to wonder what your guys' opinion is on foods as well, because we've talked about drinks with regards to beverages, but what kind of foods do you guys like? Because we haven't really discussed that much.
Well, I know
Like I was
you're
saying
gonna
before.
love this, but we have
going?
Hot Pockets and pizza rolls.
Well,
Is that
I used
literally
to
all you
run-
have?
Well, I used to run a LAN gaming cafe, a PC gaming cafe, and we had some consoles and stuff like that. And that was probably the worst time in my life for my diet, to be honest, because sitting on a computer playing games for a living and basically sitting 2 feet away from a pizza oven, just sitting there like, I could go for a drive and get something relatively healthy like Subway, or make myself a sandwich and bring it to work, or I could eat this ridiculously cheap fatty food.
Yeah. Cheap
So-
fatty food. It wins all the
Yeah,
time.
that's the bane of all gamers. I think it's cheap.
I've got
it's
pizza
efficient.
right next to me. That's the funny
But yeah.
thing. My hands are really greasy as well from it.
Personally, I think when I think about gaming and what I'm drinking and what I'm eating, hot food, I guess, would be the most satisfying food when you're gaming, because when I'm gaming, it's for 6-7 hours at a time, and hot food just seems to satisfy for the longest amount of time. Chips, like you eat a bag of chips and afterwards you're like, you know what? I kind of want some more chips.
Yeah. I think that's because it makes your mouth water.
That's true, yeah.
And it makes you thirstier, so you'd buy more drinks, and it makes you hungrier as well.
It's a sinister, evil plan. It's a big conspiracy theory. They're all like, you know what? If we make our food to make people thirsty, and you make your drinks to make people hungry, which is true, diet soft drinks make people hungry. So we'll make people thirsty. You guys make them hungry, and then we take over the world.
But if you look at PepsiCo, they own Pepsi and Doritos. They've got it all sorted.
Oh snap!
They've dived into both ends. So they have the food to make people drink and the drink to make people eat.
Yeah, man, they've created the demand. Now they just have to give the supply.
Yeah, and they seem to be doing that quite well.
Well, you can eat whatever you want.
Yeah.
Go on, WoWDar.
Oh, I said the funny thing. You brought up Coke and Pepsi. The funny thing is I don't know about Coke, but I know Pepsi owns some of the biggest gaming food restaurants, like Taco Bell and Pizza Hut, and
Yeah, I know that.
Long
Yeah.
John Silver's. Things you can grab with your hands real quick, shove in your mouth, and go
God,
back
Pizza
to playing.
Hut's good.
That's what she said. Yeah, go on.
All right. So what I'm saying earlier was, it's okay to eat whatever food you want as long as you moderate it and also you do some exercise. Like every day, before I became so busy, I usually jog like around 3 to 6 miles a day, just to like be on shape and something like that. I eat a bunch of stuff and I didn't get any weight and I feel great.
Gamers need to find that balance between the amount of food they eat while they're gaming and their exercise. I mean, Swifty, he's a perfect example of this. He goes to the gym pretty much on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's a really good role model for gamers because he's sort of telling people, you shouldn't be sat here just eating and getting fat. You need to go out and you need to exercise and you need to keep in shape. And he also, one of his videos, he mentioned that by doing this exercise, it actually gets your blood running, which means that you'll be more alert, you'll be more awake, which means your gameplay will be 10 times better.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
especially the other thing with being athletic is obviously your brain becomes more attuned to your body, and so your reflexes and everything are stronger. Which that's not exactly a very strong point because if you're playing games for 6 hours a day, your reflexes are going to be pretty damn good. Like your hand-eye coordination is going to be pretty bloody good. But he does bring up a lot of valid points, and he does get a really good reception from his viewers. It's really, I guess, inspirational when you go to his channel or to his website or anything like that, and you see all the comments from people saying like, "Thank you, I'm turning my life around. It's all because of you. This is me 3 months ago when I found your channel, and this is me now. I want to continue to be like you." And so he's just got tons and tons of followers that are like getting fit. They're happier than they've ever been in their lives or whatever, and at the same time they're getting entertaining content. So he gets to do what he wants to do for a living. Outside of playing games, like he's obviously a very athletic, fit guy. He likes his extreme sports, and now he's sort of introduced that to the gaming community a lot more. And you do see that there are a couple other YouTubers as well that are like hardcore gamers, but they're also very athletic. And it is obviously good because obviously associated with gaming is that stigma of being overweight and all those sorts of a negative outlook on the physical appearance of gamers. And so it is important that gamers see that that there isn't just that stigma, that there are other people that I guess most people would, well, I guess people from my perspective would be considered meatheads, but you know what I mean? Like it's just really good to see that that's being introduced into the community from someone as popular as a guy like that.
Yeah, I mean, he's actually inspired me. I've never been overweight or anything, but I eat really unhealthily. And that's my main issue. But since I've started watching his videos about 6 months ago, I now go out and regularly exercise. I do it just about every other day. I go for a 20-minute jog and do press-ups and sit-ups just to keep myself in shape so that I can actually keep doing this and keep gaming but stay healthy at the same time. I mean, I know I don't eat healthy, which is bad for my insides, but my physical appearance is staying fine. Now all I need to do is work on eating more healthier things and cutting out the pizza. Because I don't want to end up being overweight, but I want to carry on gaming and I want to be healthy, so it's something that you have to do, and nobody wants to be overweight.
Yeah, nobody.
No one can say they want to be overweight because it's not the sort of state of mind anybody would like.
Except for sumo wrestlers.
Yeah, sumo wrestlers, they need it for their job though, so they're allowed to be fat.
Yeah. Speaking of which, has anyone ever actually seen what a sumo eats? Because I know a guy in Australia that's an Australian sumo wrestler, and holy God, I'm serious, like a friggin' salad bowl full of boiled eggs for a snack. It's
Jeez.
ridiculous. Like, honestly, I mean, there's a lot of people out there that are overweight, and they're like, I'm happy with being overweight because I don't have to sacrifice the satisfaction of getting to eat all these nice, delicious things, which I'm not going to deny. It is very satisfying if you can overcome that subconscious or self-conscious part of your brain that's saying like, why am I eating this? And then you feel bad, and there's all that other crap that comes with it. But if you can get over that, then eating delicious food all the time is awesome because it's delicious food, and who doesn't love delicious food?
The thing is, though, sumo wrestlers are actually very healthy.
Yeah, they are, because
they just eat
athletic
food to make themselves all packed up, so that they've got all of that muscle and that weight, so they can actually wrestle. They're healthy.
Yeah.
They may be classed as obese, but they're actually a healthy state of obese.
Because their arteries and stuff are still all good because they're constantly, like, they're working out and stuff.
Yeah, and they're
just not working out enough to burn off the calories, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, see, I've watched Swifty's videos, and, he's, doing what he's got to do. He's, putting that, good image out there, trying to be a good role model for his viewers, especially a lot of young people and gamers watching. And, that's cool. But, for me, I watch his videos, and for me, it's really not that feasible. I'm at the point, I've changed my diet quite a bit, but from watching his videos, I've replaced, sitting here and eating potato chips with, I got a jug of cashews sitting here. I eat that instead of eating potato chips. Tonight for dinner, I sat here at the computer and I had some tuna salad. Instead of going and getting a pizza or a burger or something like that. I don't get the exercise in like Override does, but I'm trying to eat a little bit better. I drink a lot more tea than anything else right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, tea and see, for me, when I was saying before that I'd lost a fair bit of weight recently, it wasn't necessarily that I'd changed anything with my lifestyle. All I did was just take what I normally eat and then just cut it in half. So when I eat takeout quite a bit because I have a really hectic job, very hectic lifestyle, and sometimes I just don't have time to cook. And so if I go out and get a burger or whatever, instead of getting a full meal, I'll just get a burger by itself. And if I'm still hungry when I come home, I'll have an apple or something. So I mean, it's still not excellent, but it's still a lot better than what I would have done otherwise. And that small, minor change has made a massive difference in just 4 months for me, with no exercise, no effort whatsoever. So
that's the thing. It's just about moderating what you're currently doing, cutting some of it down. You still get to have those treats and everything, and when you do have them, you'll appreciate them more because you haven't had them for, say, a week. Say, like, every Sunday you allow yourself to just sort of pig out and eat what you want. You'll actually feel really good about doing that because it's like a treat, and everybody likes to have treats because it's something nice to have. It's just part of humanity, isn't it, really? So it is a good thing to do it sort of like that, where you just moderate exactly what you're doing. Like, okay, so today I'm not going to have pizza. I'll have pizza on Saturday instead. And I'll make Saturday my weekly takeout day. So I can have curries or Chinese or whatever you decide on that day. And that's your unhealthy day. That's a good way to go about doing it. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this section up now, I think. And we're going to go on to the next one. So the next one is voice over IP for gaming. So what are your sort of thoughts on voice over IP? Do you use it that often? Do you enjoy using voice over IP? Or do you think it can get a bit annoying and a bit in the way sometimes if you're trying to like deeply concentrate?
No, I guess the answer from me in regards to that would be a little bit different depending on what your answer is to this. When you're referring to VoIP, are you including Vent and TeamSpeak and things like that? Yep, okay.
So that's Vent, Skype, TeamSpeak, that kind of thing.
Think VoIP for gaming, when I started using Vent and now much more recently using Skype and almost not using Vent at all, it changes the way that you game, because when you're gaming without hearing the voice of the people you're playing with, it's a very, I don't want to use the word lonely, but it is. It's a very lonely experience because it's just you and the game. So, I mean, for some people it's good because they're the type of people that play Skyrim and those sort of really hardcore RPGs, and they just want to get immersed in the storyline. And I think VoIP ruins the storyline. I've tried playing games that I enjoy, like single player, while just chatting to my friends online that I normally play multiplayer games with, and it destroys the storyline because you can't immerse yourself. It ruins all the immersion that the developers work so hard to develop. But that being said, it has its place, and for me that's competitive gaming. So and I guess also casual multiplayer gaming. But for any kind of hardcore single player game, I would never actively engage in a conversation while trying to immerse myself in an RPG. I don't know about you guys. What about you, WoWDar?
Just it just depends. I mean, I really got involved in Vent and World of Warcraft with the pretty much getting into the social aspect of the game with my guild. You really get to know who you're playing with. Then you start raiding, and a voice service is essential at that point. But we know you get into other games, like take Star Wars: The Old Republic. I was in a guild fleet thing, whatever they call it over there, and everybody's always in chat. Get on Vent, get on Vent. We have a Vent server. Like, well, the game we're playing is a story-based game with voiceover. I can't listen to you on Vent and get immersed into the story of the game.
I never really thought about that though, because when I was playing SWTOR, I was always on Skype, and the game got very boring for me very quickly, and I ended up stopping leveling at 48. And I guess I never really considered that as an issue. Maybe I would have actually been more entertained if I hadn't have been on Skype, because it does... That game is sort of clashes, because you need Skype because it's an MMO. You need to be able to chat to your... or Vent, I guess, so you can chat to your guildmates when you're raiding and doing PvP and stuff. But at the same time, you don't want to be on voice chat because they had a $300 million budget almost exclusively for the voice acting. They had 1,000 voice actors, so I guess they sort of counteracted themselves there a little bit.
Yeah, I would agree with that. If you're doing a raid and stuff like that, or PvP, you had to have a vent or whatsoever. But if you want to be immersed in a storyline base, then you don't have to to do those voiceover thingy. All you have to do is just play around it. Because for me, I am mostly a PvE player, and I like to read stuff and like to know the lore of World of Warcraft. So even though my guild keeps telling me to go to Vent and talk to them, I was like, screw you guys, I'm not going to Vent unless it's a raid and whatsoever like that, because Vent, for me, Vent is only for raiding and battlegrounds. That's the purpose.
Yeah, same
of
here.
Vent.
I only ever use stuff like VoIP if I'm doing things like raiding, PvP, or just multiplayer in general, whether it's competitive or social multiplayer. And then when it comes to playing single player parts of games, I hate it, because for me, I like to get completely immersed in the lore, the storyline, and get the enjoyment from knowing what's going on. Like, if you're playing games like Skyrim and you're in a chat with someone, the amount you can miss out on while you're questing is huge. It happened the other day. Like, I was talking to my mate whilst I was playing it, and then after we finished the call, I was just like, crap, what have I just been doing on Skyrim? I've completely forgot what I've done. I've completely forgot the storyline.
Yeah,
And I don't like
precisely.
doing that kind of thing, because I enjoy the storylines. And that's the main reason why I play single player, for the storyline, as I'm sure most people do.
I think
Well,
that-
multiplayer is the competitiveness.
I think that's what once my viewers in World of Warcraft is enjoying about my series called Gnome's Journey, is because they're so focused on leveling their character without knowing what's going on. So in my video on that show called Gnome's Journey, I show them like what's the story about and something like that, because most of the players right now just want to play the game, like talk to their friends without knowing what they're doing. Like, they're brain dead on the game, but they're like listening to their friends and stuff like that. So that's why I guess you should only use your vent and something like that for competitive gaming only.
Well, I disagree with that. With the exception of Star Wars, 99% of all games, at least right now, especially MMOs, are all text based. I can
Yeah.
sit here and I can read it while having my buddies on Vent and stuff. And if I'm not on Vent, that really kills the social aspect of the
But-
guild or whatever.
The issue is, doesn't that distract you from reading it, though? Because to me, if I'm reading something, I hate it when people speak, because it really agitates me, because I'm trying to read it, I'm trying to digest the information. If someone's talking, it really puts me off, because I start getting distracted by what they're saying and involved in that conversation, rather than reading and getting immersed into the storyline, or into the book, or into whatever I'm reading at that point.
Same here.
Well, that
Yeah, I
being
could-
said, I got the same opinion as WoWDar with that one because with WoW, once you reach level 85 and you've done most of the end game content. Or that being said, I'll take a step back. When I first started playing Cataclysm, I was never on Vent. I was only talking to people with guild chat because I wanted to immerse myself in the leveling process. Once I hit 85 and it was all about raid time and it was all all go and no stop. Then I was on Skype every single second I was home. As soon as I walk in the door, bang, straight on Vent. Or straight on Skype, whichever one I was using at the time, and it was much more about talking to my friends that I'd met online, and that we developed this really good, really strong friendship. And I, even to this day, like I quit WoW a long time ago, and I still look back and go, I really wish that there was a game that I could play where I had that epic social aspect. And this is what I think a lot of people that don't play games don't understand about gaming, is that there is a very, very powerful relationship aspect in terms of the social things with MMOs, with World of Warcraft, and just with gaming in general. And now I make it a point to get online with, there's two of my friends that I specifically play with every day, but I try to get as many of my friends on as I can every day, because gaming for me has become less about immersing myself in a game like it used to be when I was younger, and much more about involving myself with my friends and doing group activities. And it's become much less about storyline for me.
Yeah, I understand with regards, like, end level. End level, I don't give a crap about the storyline because you basically know it. But, I don't know, it's just like, for me, I do like the storyline. That's something I've always liked, and I do like the social aspect as well. So, for me, VoIP has its place, and I use it in its place.
I guess it
But
just
I
all
do-
comes back on the individual then, because I mean, like, I can read something and
Yeah.
tune you out. Like, I've been reading your conversation in chat this whole time you've been talking, and I ain't heard nothing you said. I'll just
Burn.
God, you should be listening on the podcast. Terrible, terrible. But, no, that's sort of my opinions on VoIP. VoIP's a brilliant service. I love using voice over IP. It's something that I started using pretty much as soon as I started gaming, but it does get on my nerves when I'm using it and I'm doing single player, because it loses the immersion into the game. But that's my general opinion on it.
Well, in the future, I've already seen other games that have been out since Star Wars came out, because they've got all that voiceover, and a lot of games coming out now are putting voiceover into their games and adding voice into their existing games, just because Star Wars has set that precedence. So I think you're gonna see. I think there's gonna be a big change in the MMO market coming, with people actually using voice servers and wanting to, tell people shut up. I'm trying to hear the game.
Yeah, that's true. All right, well, I guess the only other thing that I wanted to address before we wrap up this topic was, what is your preference? I know that we all use Skype. I know that TGN as a network, as a channel, as a community, we all tend to use Skype. And I do personally, with all my conversations, I use Skype. I try to steer away from Vent and TeamSpeak, and that's mainly because that TeamSpeak and Vent just have ridiculously poor quality audio, and I was not aware of this until I started using Skype. So anyone that's listening to the podcast, anyone that is a regular viewer, seriously get Skype, get your hands on that stuff, man, because it is the bomb. It is
the
much
best
better.
audio.
I mean, if you've got 40 people in a raid or something, if you're doing like a massive Ilum match in SWTOR in PvP, then obviously Skype is not the way to go. But
Skype will get very laggy.
Yeah, it would get shocking.
Very laggy. But that's because it provides that quality. But if you're doing like just small discussions between a group of people, then go for it. Skype.
Yeah, up to 5 people in a conversation, Skype is definitely hands down the leader for VoIP, in my opinion. And that's all I have to say on that topic.
Yeah, I mean, Verge Gaming actually use Skype as a standard for our directors, our authors, and our moderators to discuss, and even, obviously, the podcast, as you can tell here. It is a very good system to use, and any VoIP, people wanting to use VoIP, I would recommend it. And, WoWDar, you've suggested Mumble. I really hate Mumble. That's the one VoIP service I hate.
Oh,
I
really?
always get it, like, really laggy. For some reason, it's always really laggy.
I've had a lot better experience with that than I have Ventrilo. It's always been.
I usually use
more,
TeamSpeak.
a lot faster for the communication, and a lot
Yeah.
a lot better as far as the quality of the sound.
I've never usually used Ventrilo. I've used it maybe once or twice, but for me, TeamSpeak's been one that I've generally used the most, excluding Skype. And with Skype included, then it's definitely Skype that I've used the most, especially over the past 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, I seen TeamSpeak once at a yard sale.
Yeah.
Yard sale.
I very rarely have ran across anybody that used TeamSpeak.
Yeah, I used to use TeamSpeak a while back when I was gaming, but not anymore. Skype, it seems to be the way to go for a lot of people. So that being said, just to wrap that up, Skype, get it. Got to get your hands on it. It's the shiz. All right, guys, time for us to have a quick break before we come on to the news. That's the end of the discussion segment for the Verge Gaming podcast. Again, just before we get onto this break, I'm Hzrd with the other host, System Override.
Okay guys, so we are back with the news. I hope you enjoyed the little break there. And the first topic on the list of news today is that, are there too many betas? So over the past week or so, and actually over the past couple of months, we've seen many beta announcements. In this past week, we've had Guild Wars 2 go up into open beta, and that was a special sign-up period for 48 hours. And we also had Counter-Strike Go beta keys, where you had to fill out a little survey, and if you knew what you were talking about with regards to Counter-Strike series, then you were on the beta. So my sort of question to this is, do you guys think that there are many betas coming out, and are you pleased with that at the moment? Do you think that no matter how big the game is, whether it's small or whether it's a multi-million selling game, that a beta is a very good thing to draw an attention to that game and to get the community talking about it from the off?
Well, I guess it depends on the way that you look at it, because I mean, the point of a beta test obviously is to test out the bugs and work this stuff out, so that the end version, the released version, is a much more premium quality and meets the expectations of the people that are awaiting the release of the game. But that being said, it just feels to me like with each new game that's being announced and each new beta that's coming out, it's almost just like a free, like, hey guys, you can play our finished product free for 2 months, and then then you have to buy it. So from my perspective, it's very much just I guess I don't really want to be this harsh, but it is really just like a shoddy sort of
promo period,
publicity tactic. Yeah, it really is.
That's sort of similar to Battlefield as well, though, because Battlefield 3, they had their beta back in November, was it? I think September, November, somewhere around there. But basically, in that beta period, there were so many bugs, and when the full game got released, barely any of them had been fixed. It's quite shocking, really, how little of them had been fixed.
Yeah, so it actually hurt the sales of the product because everyone was just like, wow, this is really dodgy. Do I, And the worst problem was that they said, like, hey, if you pre-order this, you can play it 2 days before everyone else. So tons of people, including myself, pre-ordered the game like, yes, I'm going to play 2 days before all you suckers and start getting, skills with the gun so I can pwn you noobs when you get into the game. And then it was like, wow, I actually already paid for this, and I'm now realizing why they did that tactic, because these bugs are just crap. And I stopped playing the game because of it.
I mean, literally, just yesterday... or yesterday at the time of recording, DICE basically released a list which was very, very long. There was at least over 200 bug fixes on that list. I mean, this is months after the game release and many bug fixes later. I mean, was that the right move for them to go and release a game straight after a beta that was extremely glitchy and not actually fix anything on it? I mean, as you said a minute ago, betas are there for you to judge the game on its, basically, the way it plays, and whether there's any bugs to fix, and they fixed none, and they're only just starting to fix it at least 3 or 4 months after the first beta, or after the beta.
And we saw the same trend with Star Wars The Old Republic as well, because when the beta was out for that, there was quite a few bugs in that, but everyone was like, look at what WoW was when WoW came out, and that's the excuse for every MMO at the moment, is whenever an MMO is in beta or coming out, it's like, oh, guys, WoW was buggy, but WoW came out 7 years ago. Get with the time, guys. How hard is it to learn from other companies' mistakes? See what they did wrong. Maybe contract some of their employees out to your company for a week or two just to run over the problems that they had so that doesn't happen to you, because your sales will increase. Popularity will increase, because one bug can ruin so much. Because, I mean, it's a very common term is you'll tell 2 people good news. So if you go to a pizza shop and you go, wow, this pizza's really good, you tell 2 of your friends, hey guys, we should go get this pizza sometime. If you have a bad experience, you'll tell everyone. You'll Facebook it, you'll tweet it, you'll make a video about it on YouTube, you'll vlog it, whatever. Bad news spreads way faster than good news. So if you're going to have bugs in your game, work the crap out before you release the game. SWTOR came out, and this has been out for a while now, like 2 months, and they're still having the bug where you can't remove quests from your quest log. That has stopped me from leveling because I can't get quests when I need them, and it ruins the leveling experience because I have to go out, do one quest, come back, grab another one, go out and do another one, because I can't get rid of the ones in my quest log. If you're going to do a beta, don't do it for publicity, do it to fix the game. Stop doing beta as a dodgy way of getting publicity for your game.
But the thing is, even then, when they release betas, it shouldn't have that amount of bugs by the time they're releasing an open beta. I mean, they have various different sessions of closed betas where they can get many bugs fixed. For an open beta, it should only be a few. Yeah, the alphas and even the in-devs as well. During those stages, they should be able to fix it. But by the time they release an open beta, there should only be a few minor bugs that they can go and fix.
Because the point of open beta is basically well, for online games, is to test the server capacity. And the only way you can test that is with an open beta. But the other thing as well, the open beta should be to test things that you can't find. So you've had your closed beta testers, the guys that you pay a salary to test the game. They go through, they test out the game, they find all the common bugs, and then you release it to, 1,000 people. Here, guys, here's the open beta, so that you can find holes in the map where you can fall through the floor. All those really random bugs that you can't just find by doing debugging tests on the code.
Referring back to Battlefield there, because that was really annoying in that beta.
So,
and it's still really annoying now.
Once the game comes to open beta, it should just be for the sake of getting lots of people into the game to find things that your paid testers couldn't find. It shouldn't be used as a publicity stunt to make pre-release sales, to boost the popularity of your game. It's a poor tactic.
Since the end of 2011, that's literally all we've seen in the headlines. At least every week we've had 2 cases of brand new betas. Come play them, check out the game, make sure you like it before you buy it. That's not what a beta's for. That's a trial period. So that sort of comes into a post I made last week about how the games industry is using words that they obviously don't know the meaning of, because they're saying, oh, this is going to be a beta, when actually it's a trial period with lots of bugs. And they also say stuff like, oh, here's the launch trailer, and then they launched the game 2 weeks later. That is not logical. It's not a launch trailer. A launch trailer is meant to be released on the day of the release of the game. That's what you do with a launch trailer, hence the name launch. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just some of the things that really annoy me lately about the games industry is they need to start using thesauruses.
Sources.
All right, guys.
The Sorai.
You guys know the Gotham City imposters or something like that? The fake
Oh,
Batman
Gotham
and
City
stuff.
Imposters.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that game still has some bugs on it.
That's a good game, though. It's a good,
Yeah.
a very
I've been
good
thinking
game.
about trying that.
Even though it's
But-
got loads of bugs, it's still a very high quality game. They didn't even do beta tests on it, I don't think, like an open beta. I think they just went closed beta, release. Which is a better way of doing it, I think, sometimes. Because these open betas, they do absolutely nothing at the moment for games. Because the game developers aren't bothered about it. It is really crazy.
Well, I will say I agree 100% with Hzrd. Betas were initially created to, test the game and find the bugs and get the shit fixed before it went to release. With YouTube and everybody out there showing everything, they found that, hey, now look, we can put out 1 million betas, get all kinds of free publicity, and get the hype build up on our games and make some money. So yeah, that's goes back 100% on what Hzrd said.
I mean,
on the other end of it though, you're talking about, well, like let's use Star Wars for instance. Well, they've been out for 2 months and they've still got bugs, and they released it with bugs even though they had all this beta testing. A lot of these games are under development for years before they're released. And there's, take Star Wars again, they have a ton of money sunk into this game. And before that game is released, they are receiving zero profit. They're getting no return on their investment. And when this game's in development for 3 years or 4 years,
I think it was 4 years
that's-
for Star Wars.
that's a long time to be putting millions of dollars into something and to get nothing back.
Don't forget that this game, SWTOR, had the largest budget of any video game in history. They had a $300 million budget to cover all of the normal gaming things, but they had such a huge budget because of the voice acting. Because, like I said before, they had 1,000 voice actors. Like with a budget that
was
big,
it over 200,000 lines of script?
Yeah, yeah.
And
and,
they
like-
won a world record for that, for the most lines of script in a game.
Yeah, and so
Wow,
they got
about
this
that.
massive publicity, like, hey guys, this is going to be the best game ever because we've got the biggest budget ever. But really, it was just like, this is basically a movie, and that's why it's so expensive, because movies cost millions of dollars to make, and it's just like all this money got dumped into voice acting, paying professional voice actors, when like the money needed to be spent on a
Mechanics.
decent dev team that isn't sitting there
Yeah.
playing Nerf guns on their on a Friday afternoon and actually
Although-
working on the code.
To be fair, Nerf guns are pretty fun.
I say that because the IT department where I work with the programmers, and every single Friday afternoon, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm sitting there smashing away some PowerShell script trying to fix some packaging issues, and all of a sudden all I hear is pew, pew, the whistling bullets just flying across the room.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it kind of feels like I'm looking at those guys and thinking, I bet people like you are working on SWTOR right now.
The thing is, though, they are working on that kind of game. If you look at Mojang, every Friday, the indie game company Mojang, what they do is they have a sort of gaming afternoon. So the afternoon from like midday till I think like 8 o'clock usually, something
Yep.
like that. They just go and play games for their Friday afternoon instead of working on any games. They just play them and have fun
Well, I
doing
mean,
it.
You look at
Okay, I don't-
Google. I mean, sorry, I'll just say one thing real quick. You look at Google in regards to that sort of thing. Every Friday, like Google has a contract. Like when you work for Google at their headquarters, every Friday is your free time. You have to do something that you can legitimize as being productive and a way of improving the business, no matter how outrageous it is. Whether it's building a satellite or developing weaponry for the military to get more funding for another Google project, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Every employee, every Friday, it's free for all Friday. Do something.
Yeah.
Give us an idea, and that's how Google improves themselves. That's how what was it? Google Plus? Yeah, Google Plus came about. No, not Google Plus. Google Talk, I think, came about because of an employee that was like, "Hey, this is a really cool idea."
Yeah, Facebook do that as well. Most of Facebook's features were done at the hackathon, which is something that Facebook run. I think it's either on a monthly basis or a yearly basis, but it's literally like 2 days where they just constantly sit there. They don't do any proper work. They just sit there and code whatever they want, and they just create a feature whatever they want. And I do know that Google, in most of their offices, they have things like slides and stuff, which is
ball
pretty
pits.
crazy. Yeah.
Adult-sized ball pits for their lunch break, so they can de-stress, because apparently it's a very high stressful work environment.
Yeah, but that's a pretty cool place to work if you've got like slides. I mean, it's just a good chance to be immature while you're an adult. I think that's a good look on things.
I don't think I quite said it right because it didn't seem to get understood. What I was trying to get at was, if I own a video game company and I'm making a video game, I'm not the one putting the money in. I have investors who are putting the money in. What ends up happening a lot of the time, and I know for a fact it happened with Cryptic Studios when they did Stowe, because they actually later ended up releasing that information, was that Atari and a couple other companies had sunk so much money in this, they wanted a return and they wanted it now. So they forced the release. They forced Cryptic to release the game before Cryptic felt the game was ready to be released, because their investors wanted their return. They needed to start seeing an investment come back, or a return on their investment.
Okay, yeah, I understand what you were saying now. That's probably another really good point on betas, is that the investors, they do just want to see the game get developed and out as soon as possible so they can get the return. But the stupid thing is, they're actually inhibiting the amount of money that they can get back. Because, going back to your pizza analogy earlier, basically, bad news is shit, and shit sticks once it's on your shoe. That's basically what that means. That's actually a proper saying, just so you know. I didn't just come up with that. It's actually a real saying. It's probably a British one. But what that means is, as soon as you've stepped in shit, or as soon as someone's discovered something bad with your product, it will stick, and you will never get rid of that from your reputation until it's fixed.
Yeah. And that's the stigma.
Using that.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good one, isn't it?
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's the issue, really. These investors, they're not game developers. They don't know what they're doing. They're just like, get my game. We've paid for this. We need it out now. We want our investment to be returned. We need to be making at least a good few million off this next month.
Yeah, more or less. Because
And
like
that's
that's
ruining game
their
development.
primary goal. Because a company like that, they're not caring about the game. I mean, having said that, there are some producers that do care very much about the game, and an example of their success would be Blizzard, because if you know, Blizzard actually has never been self-owned. When Blizzard was first bought out by an educational software development company, they outgrew the educational company, like their parent company's ability to maintain them, and so they sold them off to a bigger company that actually had the funding to maintain their growth, because they were so good. And ever since then, Activision, that now owns them,
It's
today,
Activision Blizzard now, the name of the company, and that company owns Activision Blizzard.
Yeah, and they get free reign. So Activision just says, look, you guys are just blowing games out of the water. You are pumping out successful game after successful game. You got 3 franchises that are just leading edge in their fields. Go for gold. And that's what producers need to understand, is stop being so money hungry. You know, if you're running short on cash, then do something else. But don't ruin a product that is so heavily based on perfection, because the gaming community is so strict. Like, if you make one little mistake, you're right, that shit will stick to your shoe and you'll drag it around for the rest of the life of the game. You can't do that. Like, if you're a producer and you're pushing a game to be released, you're ruining it. For starters, you're ruining our faith in the company, and you're ruining the production of the game. You're ruining your overall value. So you're like, oh, I want my $1 million return now. But if you wait 6 months to a year, I know it sucks, like boohoo, you have to go without $1 million for a year or something, but you're gonna probably have 10 times as much, because they're gonna get a good end product.
Yeah. So Tarsius, you haven't really said much on this topic. So, what's your sort of opinion?
If they want to do it, it's fine. But the thing is, what we're doing in TGN right now, it's basically quality over quantity. So if you have a quality game, then release it. But if you don't, then don't release it at all,
Yeah, that is a good point, though. Quality over quantity. We don't want to see 1 million games being released by you. I would rather wait 2 years to get a game than get it every year. Like, it's like Call of Duty, for me. That's released every year. If you did it every other year, you have more time to develop that game, so it's going to be a better game overall. You're going to have that better quality. It's such a much better idea.
Yeah, well, the thing is, Damn, you can edit that out. I had like a sentence in my head, and then I'm just like, oh shit.
Well, I was gonna say, Hazard, hit it pretty good on the head again. Um, a reason why I can, say Stowe so much because they're so much an open book with their community. But that's what happened to them was, they got forced to release because, the people putting the money said release it. They had so many bugs in it. The game, I mean, everybody was, especially Trekkies, were so excited this was coming out. They tried it. It had so many bugs. It was so screwed up that they ended up losing so much money on it that Atari ended up backing out. They ended up selling the company, and that's how Perfect World ended up picking them up, was they bought them off of Atari now. And since Perfect World has such a good business plan, like Blizzard does, they have a proven business plan on how to make a game a success. They have complete in a matter of, I think it's been 2 or 3 months, they've pretty much quadrupled the population of the game.
Am I wrong? But I'm pretty sure someone was telling me yesterday that the guys that own Perfect World also own ArenaNet, so Guild Wars 2 is going to be made by the guys that made Perfect World or something like that. Is that like way off base? Am I completely wrong with that?
I have no idea.
Oh. No,
I never heard of it.
Guild Wars is separate. That's a whole nother deal.
This has actually sort of ended up linking into the next topic on the news section, which is Mass Effect 3 Day 1 DLC. So this is to do with, we ended up talking about how investors are pushing things. Well, this sort of seems to have happened here. Now, yesterday, BioWare confirmed that there will be DLC for Mass Effect 3 available to buy on day 1. So as soon as the game's released, you're going to have a DLC. Now, I think this is pretty dodgy, considering you're paying £35 or $60 to get this game, and then you could have to buy a DLC on top of that to get the complete release day experience. That's not right, is it? That has to be something like investors pushing it.
Well,
I'll quickly add here
said,
that. Sorry, should I quickly go? Yeah.
Yeah, go.
Alright, so basically what they have actually come out and said is that the DLC has a fast certification and no manufacturing. So if a team works very hard, they can get a DLC done in time to enjoy it with your first playthrough on day 1. So what do you guys think of this? Do you think that it's the right thing to do, go and release a DLC on day 1, or what? I personally think it's stupid and it's absurd to release it on day 1, but that's my opinion, obviously.
I don't agree with the tactic itself. I don't agree with the marketing strategy of doing something like that, but it's not the first time that we've seen it. I don't want to put any negative light on Mass Effect 3 because I am a huge fan of ME, and it is definitely an epic title if there is any to be called such. But that being said, Day 1 DLC is... in what way is that a good idea? Because for starters, I mean, if you look at it logically and completely neutral and don't think I'm spending money on this, and you just look at it from like a press point of view, it doesn't make much sense because... it does make sense if you look at it from a press point of view because it takes time to package the game. They have to manufacture the discs, manufacture the cases, ship it out to all the people, and then have it ready in stores to go on day 1. But
the thing is, though, they could start work on a second DLC once I've got that one finished. Then they've got 2 sets of DLC content ready to start releasing after the game.
If you release it on day 1, from a purchasing point of view, you're buying a game and you're missing out from day 1. So you're spending the max, like the normal amount of money you would buy for a fully released game, and in the back of your head, I'm not actually getting everything that I could be getting right now. They should at least, for the sake of making people happy, schedule it. So let's say that it comes out a month or 2 months after the game's released, and that gives them a month or 2 months to work on the next DLC.
Yeah,
and then they're working ahead of schedule. Yeah, and
that's
then
what I was
busting your ass
thinking
on a deadline.
When they announced the DLC, I was sat there like, great, so now I have to spend more money on release day so I can play the game. This money I was going to spend on another game to do a walkthrough on Verge Gaming, and that's not going to happen now simply because I want to be able to do the walkthrough on Mass Effect. So instead of what I was going to do is wait a month till I got the DLC, because that's generally when it will have been released, I'm now having to get it on day 1. That's really annoying with regards to financial point of view for the gamer, because if they're doing something similar, then they're going to be pretty hard up on the first day of release because they're not going to have the money, or they may not have the money to be able to go get it straight away. And that's pretty stupid. If you've spent that money to pre-order the game, or to purchase a game on release, then you should really expect to not have to purchase even more content straight away.
Yep.
It's
That being
wrong.
said, though, didn't they say that if you get the collector's edition or the limited edition or whatever it is, that you actually get that DLC included, like a download code?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
believe
so what the hell? If they're saying like, oh, you know, calm down, guys, we're just we can't release the DLC with the game. Like the game had to be packaged up in 3 months before release because you know it takes time to manufacture all the hardware. But they still managed to fit a little tiny piece of cardboard into the collector's edition that has the free DLC. So if that's the case, why couldn't they just do it with like the first copies, like all of the first batch of copies before they send out the second set of orders to EB Games and stuff like that? Why couldn't they just include that for everyone? Like, oh, we
Yeah.
brought out DLC, you know, oh, sorry, we couldn't release it with the official game, and that's our excuse, so please don't be angry at us. But if you spend the extra $20, you can have it for free.
But that's the main point, though. It's sort of like those people who have purchased the limited edition are going to be actually losing out on money because the DLC is not going to be an extra $20, is it? It's going to be about $10, $15 to get that DLC. So where you're paying an extra $20, you could, if you didn't get the limited edition pack, get it on the same day, and you still have that thing, but it's $5 less.
What about you, Tarsius? Have you had many issues with DLC in the past?
Yes, I never like DLC that is supposed to be on the game that I already played, you know, especially on Mass Effect. I only played like Mass Effect 2 because I get a free game from when I bought the Dragon Age 2 game. The thing is about the DLC is that if a DLC content is supposed to be on the original release day, it's supposed to be free and you don't have to pay it. You know what I'm saying? I'm okay with DLC if you've been released the game for like all the contents of the game for like what 6 months or so, then release a new DLC to keep the players continue playing the game and whatsoever. But if the DLC is included on the release, but they just separate it to get more money, I'm not gonna buy it.
Well, I don't agree with the 6 months or so. I think every month or two is a better way to go about DLCs, but they definitely shouldn't have released it, or they definitely shouldn't release it on day one. But that's something that EA has actually done with this game. They've messed us around quite a lot with it, because they had this promotion going on to do with Battlefield 3, and that's if you pre-ordered the game from Origin, then you would get Battlefield 3 for free.
Oh,
They
yeah,
got
that's right,
they got
yeah.
rid of this like 2 days into that little promotion, the day before I was gonna pre-order the game. So there was people like, oh yeah, they've got this amazing promotion. Oh wait, they've just got rid of it. Great,
Yeah,
and now
because
they're
the
going and
people
saying
having a
these
crack at them.
DLCs come out. It's like they're
because
really
everybody-
messing up here.
Yeah, because everybody was having a
so
crack
what
at them and saying, like, this is a really dodgy way of marketing your game. How
Yeah.
are we supposed to have any faith in the game if you're giving away a relatively new game for free? How are we supposed to believe that this game's going to be good? Like, what the hell? What's the strategy here, man?
The thing is,
So
though, I was going to buy the game no matter what, and that was just an added bonus. That was like, oh yeah, it's Battlefield 3, it's really buggy and everything, but it will still be a fun game to play, and it will be good to have on my computer for once, because I never bought Battlefield 3 for the
So what
PC,
my
I bought it for the
question
Xbox.
my question is this: what happened to those people who already buy it?
They get the game. They still get it. They've still got Battlefield 3, because it was instant download. So you
Okay.
could get Battlefield 3 straight away, you didn't have to wait till the release day of Mass Effect. But the annoying thing is, those people who were like, oh yeah, I'm going to have an extra $5 at the weekend, so I'll be able to purchase a game this weekend, and then they find out on a Friday just before they go and purchase the game, oh, they've cancelled it. That's great. So I've just got all
I
hyped
know-
up to get an extra game with this, and now it's all for nothing.
And then you get all the negative feedback as well of being like, "What the hell?" So what? All the people that got on here first get it, but I don't. And then you got all the animosity towards the company from that as well. So
Yeah.
they hurt themselves by doing it in the first place by doing a really dodgy marketing strategy and making their fans lose faith in the production of the game. And then they screwed us over again by making a majority of the community miss out because they're like, "Oh, this was a bad idea to begin with. Let's pull it down after 2 days." If
was
you're
a
gonna make
it
a
was wrong
decision,
idea.
bad or good, if you're gonna make a decision, bad or good, stick with it. Make it work.
Yeah.
Don't just change your mind.
Stick with your guns and see them all the way through.
What about you, Dar? You had any issues with DLC, or what's your opinions on the Mass Effect DLC?
I think it's complete and utter BS. They're just trying. They're just the only thing I could think of on it is they're just trying to get more money out of people. Just plain and simple.
Well, something that I do think is the DLC should have been released with the game. That's it. They should have released it with the game in that case. If they're releasing it now, why did you not just release it with the game? Maybe it's as a free DLC on Game Day release in that case.
Yeah, that would be
Because
great, man.
it is, in a
Exactly.
sense, you're not going to get the full game experience until you buy that DLC because it was released on release day. It's just really absurd. And
Yeah, it is.
it's really annoyed me, pretty much.
It is a really, like, I've said this before and we've all sort of agreed here, it is a really dodgy way of getting out extra content at an extra cost, and no one's really going to do it, because if you just paid for the game, you're expecting the full kit and caboodle. You're not expecting to, buy a sandwich and then it rocks up without any bread.
Yeah.
So,
That's literally
being said-
We've
that
had a
being
lot
said-
of good, like,
That's
quotey kind of
$62.
things, haven't we?
that being said, talking about bad marketing strategies, the last topic for our news segment of the Verge Gaming podcast is that there is a Skyrim clone, as we're dubbing it ourselves, which is taking off of the Skyrim concept of being Dragonborn. That is the title, am I correct? System Override is Dragonborn?
Yes, and
So,
the main thing with this sort of bit of news is really annoying because I was reading through their press release literally the other day, and I posted an article a few minutes later after I read it, and I started reading the press release. I was like, oh, this seems like a quite good idea. And I was like, wait, this is starting to sound a lot like the Skyrim sort of theme. And then as I read on, I was like, this is definitely Skyrim. I mean, this is just a quote from that press release. Cora Game presents Dragonborn, the inaugural browser-based action RPG that puts you in the shoes of one who may possess the dragon bloodline. I mean, isn't this the same as Skyrim, but lacking the sort of prisoner aspect that Skyrim always seems to go for?
I guess you could
there's
sort
a
of
lot
look
of
at it
things
like
to do
that
with
and
this.
say that it would obviously, straight off the bat, just by saying Dragonborn, seems very much like a straight cut from
Yeah,
Skyrim's
everyone refers that
concept.
to Skyrim.
Yeah, but,
Dragonborn
I mean-
is Skyrim.
Yeah, I mean, it's not uncommon also to look at it and go, oh yeah, Dragonborn, that's obviously a concept that anyone could have
Yeah.
thought of. Like, oh, I possess the dragon bloodline.
I mean, to
can
be fair
save
to them-
Fosrodon, make your clothes come off. But
To be fair to the developers, Dragonborn is actually a playable race within the Dungeons and Dragons board game series. That's been a playable race since the start, but it's completely different to how it sort of is in Skyrim. Where what they've got here, from what they said in their press release, it sounds very much similar to the Skyrim version of Dragonborn.
So I guess to sort of branch on from this topic, what I wanted to discuss, what we both wanted to discuss with you guys was, how do you feel about games that are clones? I mean, personally, I don't mind clones, because if I like a game, if a game is successful, cloning it isn't a bad idea. But straight up plagiarizing is just off. Like if I hear, see. And this I'm sort of segmenting my topic here into two different things. Conker's Bad Fur Day, epic game, one of my favorite games that I ever played of my childhood, and that game was just straight up ripping off of every single popular thing that it could, but it did it in a really funny sort of cop-out way, making a spoof and making a joke out of some
That
of the
kind
more
of thing
serious.
is good.
That kind of thing is fine, but
Yeah.
if you're making a game and you're almost following in the footsteps of another game, that's just bad. You can clone a game, like you can take Rift or any other MMO and say like, it's a World of Warcraft clone, which I guess is right in some aspects because they're taking successful elements of a game and following that on. But if you take the storyline, the concept of a game, and then recreate it, and then basically just put a new skin on it and say, hey, check it out, Fuzzro, blah.
I mean, that's one of the things from this. It's just like many of the things they mention just keep bringing Skyrim to mind. It's quite a dilemma because I really like the sound of that game, but at the same time, like, this is stupid. I might as well not buy the game and just carry on playing Skyrim, because that's what I'd probably do. But what I am going to be doing is I'm going to be waiting for more news to come on this game, because it is very promising. There could be some other things that they haven't included so far in this press release that they're still developing at the moment, which could make this game really good. But at the moment, it really does seem a Skyrim clone. It is annoying. But sort of one of the other things I wanted to come off was, like, game developers. What are your opinions on game developers actually taking ideas from other games, like the core fundamental storyline ideas of games, and shoving them into their own game. What do you think of that? And also, what do you think of game developers releasing the same game pretty much year after year with a different title and better graphics and a slightly altered storyline, aka the Modern Warfare series? That's one of the ones that does that for me, because it's a very similar storyline each time. They just change some of the missions and stuff in it around.
All right. So, as a guy who likes to code and make independent games that I don't actually release on public, I don't want anybody like trying to actually copy the whole thing, like the storylines and all that stuff, in my developer's idea, because like I work so hard on this game and somebody's gonna copy it. It's just feel wrong. Like I don't want to like let's say my game, I mean, like let's say Super Mario game, and it didn't do well successfully, but somebody tried to clone it and their game became successful because they cloned me and added a bunch of stuff on it, which is it's kind of like bad. I feel bad for it. It's like, why do you have to like copy my game and make more money about it?
That's sort of like what happened with Minecraft. I mean, Minecraft got so many clones of it, like Fortress Craft and I can't remember the other ones. I didn't really pay attention to them, but it did have at least 5 different clones of it. And that is just so stupid. They should not do that. That is harsh to the developer of the original game, because you're stealing their idea that they invested a lot of time and money into it, which Mojang have done with Minecraft. And at the same time, it just shows that as a game studio, you have no creativity if you just go and pinch other people's ideas.
Yeah. And also my thoughts about like Modern Warfare releasing every year. It's, if you do this like every twice a year, as you said, system, it's good if there's some kind of like innovative thing. It's not just you have a new guns, new graphics start, new map, and that's it, new storyline. So what else you can give me? And like as a gamer, I need something else to do besides that. Like, well, what is the difference between me just shooting stuff on the new one? You know, I don't want a new storyline or campaign whatsoever, but I need something that could help me, like, hey, this game is good or whatsoever. But thing is, I want something new, not just graphics, not just storyline, not new guns, not new maps. I want something else.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny that you mentioned that, because some supporting evidence for that statement is that most people are still playing Modern Warfare 2, and that's like relatively old now, and it's still considered to be more acceptable as a competitive platform than Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops, or any of the more recent ones since Modern Warfare 2. So that sort of says something right there. Like, they're just releasing sort of, I guess, a reskinned version of their previous games.
I mean, expanding upon that, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, so Call of Duty 4, that is huge on the PC still. Everyone on the PC who does competitive FPS generally plays that game. It is one of the biggest competitive FPS games on the PC. And how old is that? That's really old. That's at least 5 years old, if not more. And people are still preferring to play that over things like Modern Warfare 2, World at War, Modern Warfare 3, and even Black Ops. I mean, that's how many games have been released since that game, and people are still playing the original because the original was best before they went and cloned it and made it worse. That's the weird thing. I know this is my opinion, I'm going to get a lot of hate on this, but since Modern Warfare 4, it seems like it's just been cloned and cloned and cloned, but at the same time, it's been getting worse.
I guess it sort of just depends on the developers themselves, because if the developers can take an idea and then not perfect it, but just give it a different spin, then it won't feel like a clone while it still is. So they've got minimum production time, I guess, because they don't have to do any of the concept development process. They can just go, oh, like, this is a really sick idea. I've always wanted to play this game with X, Y, Z different changes to it, and then, you know, flick over and make your changes. Because, I mean, at one point, there was only Pong. You know what I mean? Like, from something came everything else.
Yeah.
So, this is sort of becoming like the theology of games, if you really want to get into that metaphysical sort of aspect of it. But
yeah,
so everything comes from something. Every game that exists today is in some way a port or a concept that was developed and produced in games 20 years ago. And that's just a fact. Like it's the same thing with music, it's the same thing with books. People read things, they listen, they watch things, and then their ideas are based off of their own interests from those things. It's just
But-
these are my favorite things from my favorite game, etc.
The thing is that's just general progression. That is
Yeah.
progression. That's improving things and taking them to the next level. And that is what the game industry relies on. But that's not just going out and completely cloning something.
Well, I mean, you can look at it like this. There was Twisted Metal on PlayStation 1, and then there was Destruction Derby. And there's other games like that where it's like, oh, this game came out, it was really successful, and the concept is you put weapons on cars. Someone did that first. I'm not sure who it was, but I know Twisted Metal was the big one for the, like, armored cars and weaponized cars and stuff like that. And, I mean, they've even got a movie that follows the same concept as well, Death Race. So people do clone games, and they do it successfully because there are PS3, like, because Twisted Metal, the new Twisted Metal's only just come out. PS3 did have very early in its production I guess a clone of Twisted Metal, and it was very successful. I played it for a few weeks and almost non-stop. It's a really good game. So I'm saying that some clones do work if done properly. If you just add a little bit of flair and a little bit of change, and it won't be considered a complete clone. But if you take a game and then just literally do a duplicate, like if you take Mario, like to use Tarsius's analogy from before, if you take Mario and then make another game and just change the character to Luigi, instead of giving him an Italian accent, you give him a Russian accent, that's wrong. You're not changing the game, you're just cloning the game, and people don't realize that it happens. But I'm a big fan. I pretty much just look for games. It's all I do is find new games to play every week. I'm like, oh man, this new game, it's going to be the next best thing. And then a week later, I'm like, flavor of the week syndrome over, and I'm onto something new. And I see a lot of games that are just almost serious clones of other games.
Yeah, that's something I've noticed as well. And it's not right if it's a serious clone. If it's improving on it. I mean, the Twisted Metal game, and what was the other one you mentioned? The newer version?
I can't actually remember what the name of the game was, but when PlayStation 3 came out, there was basically a direct clone, just better graphics.
Yeah. But that's sort of obvious, though, because, like, that's bringing it to a next-generation console, in a sense. That's bringing it up for other people to then start improving on for this next-generation console. Where things like what we've just heard, basically, with regards to the Dragonborn game, that is, I don't know, that's just seems a bit too cloney.
Yeah.
In a sense, they are bringing it onto a brand new platform because they're bringing it to browser-based. But do people really play browser-based anymore? Unless it's like Farmville?
Casual game. Yeah, I was about to say casual gamers play browser-based games, but full-fledged browser-based games don't normally do very successfully unless it's like an app.
I mean, wasn't the original version of EverQuest a browser-based game?
Yeah, from memory it was actually, yeah.
Yeah, and RuneScape's still a browser-based game. They did really well, but then people started to move out of that zone of browser-based games into actual downloaded games like League of Legends. I mean, they could have probably, in all honesty, done League of Legends browser-based. They would have found a way to do it. But instead, they would rather provide a better content and do it actual downloaded.
Local hosting of graphics and codes and things like that. So, in regards to clone games, I guess, WoWDar, what's your experience with clones? Have you found any games? You got any titles you can lay out on us for clones?
I don't believe in clones. I don't believe clone is even a proper way of trying to describe something. I mean, you take World of Warcraft and Rift, for an example. Rift did an extremely intelligent and smart thing to do. They followed lessons that have been out there. Zig Ziglarman said, if you want to be successful, look at somebody who's successful, who is where you want to be, and do what they did. And that's what Rift did. They found a game that was doing extremely well. Hell, they were they're number one in the market. And they put their own, of course, they did their own thing. They got their own story, their own classes. But it boils down to the number one game in the market right now is set in medieval times with dragons, knights, and priests. And that's what's selling right now. So let's do that. And then when they did it, oh, it's a WoW clone. It's a WoW skin. It's just the same thing. It's just a little bit different skin on it.
But it's not. it's got a completely different storyline. That kind of thing's fine. If it's got a completely different storyline, but it's got generally the same mechanics, then go for it. That's the kind of game I love, where they've taken similar mechanics, improved on those mechanics, and then shoved the whole brand new storyline on it for you to go and play. That is a kind of cloning kind of system that I like when it comes to game clones.
But you're looking at Dragonborn, and you're reading the stuff on the thing, and I can pretty much bet you that when it's released, it's not going to be exactly like Skyrim, because if it does,
it probably
it's going
won't.
to turn around and going to be shut down because Skyrim's going to sue the hell out of them.
Yeah, it won't be a direct clone, but from what they've said in the press release, it sounds very, very cloney. And that's basically what my main point was on this.
But on a side note of that, I mean, you take the Modern Warfare, I mean, hell, Madden's been doing that for years. Every year he's going to bring out a new one. And it's been working for him, and then people are gonna take these ideas of Warcraft. Let's redo it. Let's redo Skyrim because it's successful. It's gonna get to a point to where that's not gonna work anymore. I mean, that's not. There's somebody out there. You have to be coming up with new ideas of new types of games, of new things that can, that can come out. This is just a short-term stopgap, for them to continue making money and continue making games.
I know this is going to be completely off topic, but I think indie games are going to start leading that way. Because the indie game developers, they're the people with brand new, fresh ideas, just graduating out of university degrees and stuff with this new gaming knowledge. And they're like, this is a really cool idea, let's go do it. It's completely different to everything else. I mean, Minecraft is a prime example of that. There wasn't really anything like Minecraft. There was Dwarf Fortress, which is relatively similar to Minecraft, but Minecraft took the basic mechanics and completely expanded it and made it 10 times better than what it is.
Well, that's probably pretty true, with the exception of, say I'm an indie guy and I get this great original idea, and it looks like it could make a lot of money. I'm not going to be able to produce that content. I'm not going to be able to make that game. Somebody's going to come in there and say, "Hey, Ron, I'm Blizzard. I want to buy your game."
But what they would probably do is just buy the company who's developing it.
That, or they'll hire the guy, to work for their company and pay him an obscene amount of money. Either way, it works.
And that's a brilliant way to go. That is a brilliant way for this sort of system to go. And we need to start seeing much more of that. And I think Minecraft has led the way with that kind of idea. And I think this is going to end up being something that is big with regards to the way games are going to be developed in the future. But anyway, guys, I think we should probably call that a wrap for this episode of the Verge Gaming podcast. So if you guys have anything else to say on whatever we've discussed during this, or anything else that's not related to what we've discussed today, then please do so now. I will probably take that as a no.
Yeah, no.
Chirp, 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 crickets.
Yeah, so, guys, all of the links to the directors on this show will be in the description. So that'll be all of our guests. That'll be WoWDar, Tarsius, and your hosts, me and Hzrd. So that's System Override and Hzrd. So that's it for this video. Don't forget to check out all of our social networks, our forums, and our daily blog, the links to which are below. And Hzrd, you were about to say something?
I just want to say thanks to WoWDar and thanks to Tarsius for joining us on the podcast. Hopefully we can get you guys in here when we've got some future topics to talk about in the next coming weeks.
Yeah, it was really good having you on here.
Yeah.
Alright, guys. So I'm System Override.
And I'm Hzrd, so thanks for watching.
Yep, so you've been watching Verge Gaming. Catch you later, guys.